These are the top 24 players that actively lead in career wins above replacement, often shortened to WAR. WAR is a statistic that looks to condense a player's value down to a single number, combining over a dozen different metrics from their hitting, fielding, or base running to get this number. These are the 24 players that have been best at it that still play as of 2023. There's Albert Pujols, one of the greatest hitters of all time. Mike Trout, also one of the greatest hitters of all time. Robinson Cano, a second baseman who's been embattled in PED suspensions for the past year. Miguel Cabrera, a first baseman with one of the warmest hearts in baseball. And Joey Votto. Joey Votto, like Cabrera, has a warm heart, but he also has a cold side. Joey Votto, despite never playing outside of Cincinnati, has always been a polarizing figure in baseball. From him getting ostracized by Phillies fans for fake tossing a baseball, to getting love in his own city for his personability and low-key personality. After all, Joey Votto is the Canadian kid that could.
That ball clobbered into deep right center field. Long gone for Joey Votto.
Here's Joey Votto in the seventh to face Mott. Big swing to right, going back. Gonzalez at the warning track, looking up. It's going to be gone.
Or just below the chest area. And he just throws Votto out of the game. You got to be kidding me.
Joey Votto is tossed, and this is the second time this year we've seen this happen.
From the Cincinnati Reds, Joey Votto. Nice pick by Joey Votto.
Left field going back. We're going home. Joey's done it again. Joey Votto, a walk-off home run, the first of his career, and it gives the Reds a 7-game lead in the Central.
Joey Votto was born in September of 1983 in Toronto, Canada. His mother was a sommelier and his father was a chef and a baseball fan. Votto played 3 sports in high school, being an athlete in baseball, hockey, and basketball. Votto was a point guard who even scored 37 points in a game. Votto had signed a letter of intent to play baseball at Coastal Carolina University, which had a relatively small and unimpressive baseball program 20-some years ago, but has now blossomed into one of the top programs on the East Coast. Instead of ever playing at Coastal Carolina, he was selected in the second round of the 2002 MLB Draft, 44th overall, by the Cincinnati Reds. Despite falling all the way to the second round, he would have the second highest career WAR, or wins above replacement, of anyone selected in the 2002 draft, being behind Zach Greinke and ahead of Cole Hamels and Matt Cain. By the time Votto was 20, he was already hitting above 300 in Cincinnati's minor league system, and he continued the work through the minor leagues for 6 seasons before getting the call to join Cincinnati's Major League Ball Club on September 4th, 2007. The Reds, in hindsight, made a good decision not to rush Votto, as his growth and development would help lead the Reds to a divisional title 4 years later. The 2007 Reds were a struggling team, and back then the September call-ups used to have a lot more significance for struggling teams than they did for contenders. September's roster expansions meant that 40 players were now on the roster instead of 25, adding 15 vacant slots for minor leaguers to fill. It's almost like a second spring training, where guys who were on the cusp of MLB playing time but couldn't before secure a roster spot now have that opportunity. The difference is that for a team that's struggling, like the Reds, they can afford to give these minor leaguers more playing time since they aren't in any contention for a playoff spot. On the other hand, a team like the Phillies or Mets, which were in a tight playoff race that year, would be more reluctant to start call-up prospects and play their star talents instead. Votto got full playing time in 2008, and finished second in National League Rookie of the Year voting behind Cubs catcher Giovanni Soto. In hindsight, Votto would have a much better career than Soto, or any of the other players he finished ahead of, including 2 other Cincinnati Reds, Edinson Volquez and Jay Bruce. Joey Votto earned his first All-Star appearance in 2010, and would go on to win the National League MVP, batting .324 with an OPS of 1.024, 71% better than league average. He led all of baseball in on-base percentage with .424, which would help set a trend for Votto becoming an on-base machine in his prime. Votto was only 26 and would acquire 4 consecutive All-Star nods from 2010 to 2013. Votto being an on-base machine isn't an understatement by any means. He led all of baseball in on-base percentage 3 times, and led the National League 7 times. He even led the NL in slugging percentage with a flat .600 during his 2010 MVP season. He's led the NL in walks 5 times, and has led all of baseball 3 of those 5 times. Even when a pitcher isn't trying against him, he still succeeds, leading all of baseball in intentional walks in 3 seasons. Votto only earned 1 MVP in his career, but came ever so close many times. He finished 6th on the ballot in 2011, 6th again in 2013, 3rd in 2015, 7th in 2016, and 2nd in 2017. This tends to happen to some players who crack through once but can't seem to break that glass ceiling a second time, like Ryan Howard. Votto only won 1 Gold Glove in his career in 2011, but is known for good defense, having a career fielding percentage of .994, which is above average for a first baseman, and a DRS, or defensive runs saved, stat of 55, which any number that is positive is good, but a number that is far from 0 in the positive direction is exceptionally good. Votto was selected to 6 All-Star teams, the 4 in a row we mentioned from 2010 to 2013, and 2 more in 2017 and 2018. While his production is down today, he is 39 years old, and as of this taping, has 2,093 hits, 453 doubles, 342 home runs, 1,106 RBIs, a career batting average of .297, an on-base percentage of .412, and a career OPS of .926 that is 45% better than league average. The question is to be asked, why do I love Joey Votto as a player so much to the point that I dedicated this mini-doc to him? The answer does not lie in his numbers, as yes, I love players that get on base as much as Billy Beane from Moneyball, but the truth is that Joey's personality is something that MLB players lack today. When you watch an NBA game, you watch for flashy dunks, nasty alley-oops, and risky three-pointers. Many of the players bring the flash and the swagger to the court by the time they arrive on the scene as a prospect, but baseball still remains the gentleman's game that lacks many players from showcasing their personalities on and off the field. Sure, MLB is trying their level best to fix this, with players being mic'd up during national telecasts and Players Weekend, where players' nicknames instead of their birth names are donned on the back of their jerseys. Joey Votto has done interviews in Canadian Mountie uniforms, he's dressed up as a donkey to persuade fans to vote his teammate into the All-Star game, he's smashed paper airplanes, and has even waltzed around the ballpark while being out on injury and being the most cool cat there could be with your average fan. Along with that, it's not just the off-field goofball clips or funny shticks that make Votto the man he is, it's also the on-field tactics that he employs to make him a successful ballplayer. If Joey Votto had played in the 1950s or 60s, he would be one of the greatest players of that generation and also a surefire Hall of Famer with 5 or more MVP awards. But Votto, much like Marty McFly after going 88 miles per hour, is a man playing with the wrong generation. Votto is an old-school player who plays by the old-school rules of hitting and defense, while also adopting new-school personality traits and notability as a ballplayer. When you have every player and their mother in the 2010s and 2020s trying to be the next power-hitting first baseman with 40 homers and 100 RBI in a season, sometimes you need to just focus on the fundamentals and hit slap singles or doubles in the gap. Being as versatile as Votto is not an easy task in today's game, but his approach at the plate and his approach to the public make Votto one of my favorite players, even if he's gotten some hate from the Philadelphia faithful in recent years.
But otherwise has not budged and is standing there waiting on low.
Yeah, now Santana's going to try to slow it down just a little bit. Maybe he's trying to get Lowe to pitch faster than he really wants to.
And there's a walk.
Little head game going on.
I think you're right.
You know, Joey Votto does not go to the plate without a plan. And you don't always know what that plan is, but he's got one.